Clippard looking for a clean inning here in the 7th. Hit well out to right center field. Jones still on the move, running out of room, and he makes the catch!
Ortiz into deep right field. Back is Sheffield. We'll see you later tonight. Chance of a lifetime for Luis Gonzalez. 2-2, bottom of the 9th. Game 7 of the World Series. Bases loaded. Infield in. 1 out. Floater. Center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
Here's the pitch to him. A line drive down the right field line. That's headed into the corner. Sanders is over to play it. Eckstein's in. Erstad's in. Here comes Salmon. He scores. Garrett Anderson clears the bases.
And watch the Tyson. Batista with a drive. Deep left field. No doubt about it.
Hey everybody, welcome into another episode of the Chasing 2 podcast. I'm Blake Frazier alongside Dylan Smith, episode number 7. And we're going to kick things off with just letting everybody know that our website is launched and we're looking for writers. There's an opportunity for you guys to get some experience in sports journalism, write some articles for the website. We publish them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Pretty good exposure. Why don't you kind of tell the listeners a little bit about our website?
Yeah, and our video library is on there if you're not on YouTube. And yeah, you can join. And we're trying to grow our brand, and we need people to join the Chasing 2, and it's a great opportunity for you guys. And make sure to subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, we're gaining a lot of subscribers, which is obviously awesome for us. But first, Dylan, we're going to not talk about injuries to start this podcast. We're going to talk about the trade deadline. The trade deadline is Monday coming up here. Let's go over the buyers first. We'll go to the AL East, Tampa Bay. A team that, when you look at their payroll, you think, man, how is this team always there? And you look at them, they're in first place. I think they're in the bottom 5 of the payroll, but there they are. The pesky Rays are always going to be a thorn in team sides, and they're definitely going to be adding at this deadline.
Yeah, and hats off to that front office. They always find the right players, and they need some starting pitching. Charlie Morton, he's a free agent at the end of the year, also has been hurt. Blake Snell, he was on a pitch count to begin the year, so obviously he's had some injury. Tyler Glasnow, another guy that's had some injury. So they were the original openers, but I think that they're going to need some starting pitching once they get to October. Additionally, G-Man Choi and Jose Martinez, they haven't been the greatest pair over at first base.
No.
And then Mike Zunino has been not great at all behind the plate.
You can say horrible. It's okay. You can say horrible.
So those are 2 holes, first base and catcher, that they really need to fill. Starting pitching, obviously they have one of the best staffs, complete pitching staffs in the league. But
when healthy,
they can add
right?
if they could add one more arm, then they maybe one more arm and maybe a guy like, call me crazy, but maybe Josh Bell. I mean, the Pirates, Tampa has the prospects.
Definitely.
Josh Bell would fit so great in that lineup with Meadows and Lau. I think that would be the perfect fit. But yeah, if they could get a guy like Josh Bell and then add a 4th starter, maybe like a Dylan Bundy from the Angels if they want to move him, Mike Minor, Lance Lynn from Texas. One of those guys.
Clevenger could also go there too.
Yeah, that's interesting. That he's supposed to start tomorrow now, so we'll see what happens.
It's kind of weird. Like most guys, get scratched from their start right before the trade deadline, so they don't risk getting hurt. But obviously he's going to be starting tomorrow. We'll get to that in a little bit. The next team in the AL East we'll go over to is the New York Yankees, a team that has been filled with injuries. They also need starting pitching, and they could use just a little bit of everything. They need some depth, to kind of survive those injuries.
Yeah, and Gleyber Torres is on the IL now, but Aaron Judge is coming back tonight.
That's right.
So,
he got reinstated. Yeah,
but they do need depth because all their depth is playing at this point.
Yeah.
So, look, Brock Holt, he just got DFA'd by the Brewers. Maybe that's a guy that goes over to the Yankees and can play a couple positions. Just look for – they signed Jordy Mercer, which isn't going to be an impact bat, but he could play defense.
Yeah.
So look for them to get guys like that can play utility. And then starting pitching. Obviously, Paxton's hurt now and is going to be a free agent. Tanaka's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. They need some controllable pitching going forward other than Garrett Cole.
Yeah, we saw Markakis opt in. Marcus Stroman's been rumored to be wanting to go to the New York Yankees for quite some time now. Do you think maybe the Mets and the Yankees strike a deal there?
I don't know about the Mets and the Yankees, but I could totally see it would be a weird situation if Marcus Stroman got traded and then opted in. Definitely would rub Mets fans the wrong way, but
for sure.
That's a valuable trade piece that came off the table once Stroman opted out.
100%.
So I could totally see a sign and trade situation, kind of what the Yankees did with Sonny Gray to the Reds. When the Reds traded for Sonny Gray, they extended him without even seeing him pitch a game. So I could totally see a situation like that with the market being, we don't know how it's going to be this offseason. So, yeah, I don't know about the Mets and Yankees, but one of those buyers might look for him.
The last team that we'll get to in the AL East is the Toronto Blue Jays, and their young core has kind of put the Blue Jays management in this position to be buyers at the deadline. When you look at what they need, obviously Bo Bichette's a huge hole in that lineup, and right now they got Santiago Espinal starting at short, which isn't very good. So they just added Daniel Vogelback for some pop off the bench. Not sure what he's going to do. He's off to a horrible start this year, only 5 for 53. But they need some outfield help. I mean, Gurriel's been good in the outfield. Hernandez is a very streaky hitter. He's got 10 home runs this year. And, of course, Grichuk has had his moments this year. But for me, it'd be nice to see the Blue Jays maybe go out and get maybe a guy like Brian Goodwin, who's a left-handed hitter or something like that. But they are linked to the Pittsburgh Pirates with Trevor Williams. What was your thoughts when you saw that news?
Yeah, that would be huge. I believe he has 4 years of control. And Ben Cherington, he worked for the Blue Jays. He knows the farm system. He knows exactly what he wants from them. So they already have that. They already have that familiarity with each other. And Ben Cherington kind of just he knows who's untouchable and who's not. So he can take some pieces from there. And going back to the outfield situation, other names that you might want to look at is maybe Cole Calhoun or Jesse Winker from the Reds. That's another one. I'm sure there's a ton more, but those are the 2 that come off the top of my head. Maybe Jay Bruce. I mean, he's not great defensively, but he definitely can platoon.
Yeah, definitely. And then just one more thought on the Blue Jays. Nate Pearson got diagnosed with a flexor strain. His goal is to start throwing this week. So with Matt Shoemaker and Trent Thornton going on the IL, the Blue Jays are definitely in need for some starting pitching. We'll hop over to the AL Central. We'll go to the Chicago White Sox. Chicago White Sox, they need pitching. And for me, I think a guy like Dylan Bundy would be a good fit there.
Yeah, I think Robbie Ray would be a good fit there. Mike Minor would be a good fit there. I think those guys that are going to get ground balls. I know Robbie Ray struggled a little bit this year after changing his arm slot during the offseason. But
pocket path.
Yeah, but I think that they're going to need a guy that's established. So obviously Trevor Bauer would be a huge get for the White Sox right now, but I think Cincinnati is trying to hold on and try to make a push for that 8th seed. So I don't know if they'll do that. He's also a free agent at the end of the year. But look for more veteran pieces. I don't think they'll grab any young guys right now because they already have a good group of young guys, Reynaldo Lopez, Giolito Kopech. So that's where I sit with them.
Yeah, another team we'll hop over to is the Minnesota Twins. Mitch Garver just went down with injury, so there's a hole there. I could see maybe Christian Vasquez going to the Minnesota Twins to shore up that catching spot, and they also need starting pitching. What kind of player do you see the Twins targeting?
Same guys, Lance Lynn, Mike Minor, Robbie Ray. Bauer would be huge. Just all Rick Porcello maybe. I mean, if you look at their rotation, they kind of have found guys. I think Porcello actually would fit well there, even though he's been
Yeah.
banged around past couple of years. But
Yeah.
I think that big ballpark could play to his advantage, even though he's kind of in a big ballpark right now with the Mets. But
Yeah.
they definitely need some pitching. The bullpen's been pretty good for them. It's had its moments where it hasn't been, but which team hasn't had that, So
For sure.
catching wise, it's slim pickings. Obviously, Jason Castro will probably be available.
Yep. Yeah, I'd be crazy if you went back
Maybe
to the Twins.
maybe Tucker Barnhart, Kurt Suzuki. Those are just a couple off the top of my head. I mean, Jeff Mathis would just be a defensive guy. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
off the top of my head, those are some names that come to mind. Obviously, Garver will be back at some point. Alex Avila is the one catching right now, and he's batting under 200 as well. So,
Yeah, Cleveland is the last team we'll get to in the AL Central, and there's lots to unpack with this Indians team. It was announced, John Morosi tweeted that the Indians are probably going to trade a starter from now until Monday's deadline. Clevenger, Plesac are guys that could be dealt. Maybe they get dealt because of that situation, or maybe they get dealt just to help the team. They do need some outfield help. And they could use some help at second base. Like the Angels and the Indians, that's a clear match for a trade. I mean, you got La Stella and you got Brian Goodwin, two pieces that the Indians could use.
yeah, I think the Angels are a pretty good fit for anybody right now.
Yeah,
They have
for sure.
They have so many free agents between Simmons, La Stella, Castro, Goodwin, Tehran. The list just keeps going on.
Yeah.
So they're going to have some pieces to move. I don't know how much they'll really get for them because of the circumstances of the season, but Cleveland definitely they need a bat badly. And I don't think any of those guys are going to do it for Cleveland. I think they're going to go big, and I don't
Martinez?
know. Maybe that's a great fit right there. So that's the type of bat that I'm thinking they're going to try to get. Maybe Clevenger to the Red Sox.
Yeah.
A deal that has some prospects thrown around, and Martinez goes the other way to Cleveland, because technically they do have 2 years of JD Martinez if he doesn't opt out.
That's
which
right.
He's the most tricky trade piece
To
right
trade
now.
for. Yeah.
Because
not much security.
There's no security in it, but at the same time, we don't know where the market's going to be this offseason. So he might be like, I can't get $20 million on the free agency this year, so I'm going to stay here. So it's kind of a weird situation. Maybe a young guy like Nick Senzel from the Reds. I know we're talking Reds a lot right now, but
Utility.
Nick Senzel's been rumored in a couple of trades already and never really gotten stapled into that lineup with the Reds. And the Reds outfield is full. So at some point they're going to have to trade one of them between Winker. Akiyama's just got there. Castellanos has been DHing, but if that goes away next year, who knows? Senzel, Aquino. The list is kind of just going on and on there. So they have plenty of outfield pieces that they can move, and the Indians need outfielders. They just optioned Oscar Mercado, which was very surprising to me because I saw him firsthand in AAA last year when I was with Louisville, and the kid is electric. And we've seen him have electric moments at the big league level. So it was very interesting that he got optioned.
Another guy that they can add is maybe a guy like Yasiel Puig, who played there last year. Maybe he gets his COVID situation figured out. Maybe that's a bat that Cleveland adds. Cleveland's pitching has been lights out, so maybe I think they gotta go out and reward that unbelievable pitching with a couple bats for the lineup. Try to kickstart Lindor and Santana. Those two have been off to awful starts. So we're going to shift over to the AL West. We're going to go to Oakland here. Oakland, they're like the Rays, man. Like you said it a few pods ago. When you think Oakland's going to be bad, there they are, 90-plus wins, whatever. Like they're just always there. And you look at their payroll, you might underestimate a little bit, but Oakland's front office has done an unbelievable job of finding these guys.
Yeah, and they're going to need some starting pitching. Montas hasn't been very good. Manaea hasn't been good. On the other side of things, Chris Bassett has been good. So they're going to – and Luzardo's been good. So they're going to need some starting pitching. Mike Byers has been so-so.
Yeah.
But you can move any of those 5 to the bullpen, and that bullpen's already stacked. So I could see them going for like a top-tier type of guy that's going to help them in the postseason, because that's really where they have to look. Is we might have guys right now that will get us through the regular season with our lineup, but when it comes down to the postseason, things change. So we're going to need some pitching, and we're going to need some guys that can go deep into games and, you know, be an anchor to the staff. Another position I could see them going towards is either second base or the outfield. Right now, Chad Pinder plays second base for them, but he's a utility guy. Piscotty's in the outfield. Liriano's got a spot, of course. Chris Davis DHs at times, and it's usually he doesn't play. But between their core of Chapman and Semion's going to be a free agent this year, and then Olsen, I could see them trying to make a trade to where a guy can take over that Semien production next year. So maybe a guy like Nick Castellanos or something like that. Somebody that can really produce offensively.
Many years ago, well, not many years ago, a few years ago, you saw Oakland make that big splash, and they got John Lester and for that wild card and that playoff run. But I think you could see a situation with like a guy like Trevor Bauer going to Oakland and try to put them over that hump and try to go for that World Series. I think that if Bauer gets traded, it's going to be a contender.
Yeah, we were talking about Mike Clevenger's buddy. Also, Mike Clevenger went to Oakland. That would be dangerous for the AL West for years to come.
Yeah.
So, I can't see too many big pitchers getting traded right now because most of the teams are in it at the teams that they're on. But, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a weird trade deadline. That's to say the least. I don't see any Justin Verlanders getting traded.
Especially 45 minutes after the deadline.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. But when you look at Oakland, like, do you see them as the favorite in the American League right now?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, they're scrappy. I've watched them for years growing up. They're scrappy. Yeah. It's just they just never get over the hump, and that's what I'm saying. If they could just get a real star to put – not that Chapman's not an all-star or Semien was top 3 in the MVP voting. Don't get me wrong. Olsen, probably my favorite first baseman in the league. Don't get me wrong. That core is awesome. I'm just talking about an electric guy. Obviously, the Padres have Tatis and the Braves have Acuna – and the Phillies have Harper, the Angels have Trout. Like, I'm talking a guy like that where it's like, this is generational talent. Yeah. And I'm not sure they have generational talent on that team. And if they could get one of those guys that puts them over the top, whether it's in the rotation or in the lineup, then maybe I'll say, yes, they are the team because they are scrappy, they have the depth, and their bullpen is electric. But I still think the Yankees are the favorites because they're going to get healthy and they have Garrett Cole.
Oh, I remember what I was going to ask you before I lost my train of thought there. When we're talking about all these teams, we said that every single team needs starting pitching. So, like, there's going to be some teams that don't get what they want. So, like, there's not enough starting pitchers to go everywhere, right?
Well, I think there is enough starting pitchers to go everywhere because I think that controllable starters might get moved. Okay. But that just means more prospects are going to be going the other way. So, but we can't really pinpoint those guys unless teams outright say they're on the chop, they're on the trade block. We can't be like, like Jesus Luzardo is available in trade. Like, he's going to get traded. No, that's stupid of us to say, unless it happened and we'd be like, wow, can't believe that happened. That's the type of deals that we might be seeing, or it just might be really quiet and teams are going to be like,
I'm not giving up this much prospects.
Yeah, for this 2020 championship. So I'm not going to sit here and say all these like young pitchers are going to get traded, like John Gray and like all these guys, which is a guy that could be traded, but like it has to come to fruition. Like there has to be rumblings before I actually buy into that stuff.
Yeah, Houston, the last team we'll touch on in the AL West. They need also starting pitching with Verlander gone and a couple more others out. They've had a lot of injuries. Osuna's hurt now. They need some help in the bullpen as they're very young in the pen and in the starting rotation. Another guy I could see going there, maybe Mike Minor. I think he would do a good job stabilizing that rotation a little bit. But what do you think for Houston?
I think maybe a guy like Sean Doolittle from the Nationals.
Okay.
Would be great for their bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
Their bullpen's very young. They walk a lot of batters. Their starting pitching has been, subpar also, and that's why they're in second place. They've lost a lot of games and late in the games, and then also their offense hasn't been off to a great start. Yordan Alvarez is out, who was the reigning rookie of the year last year.
Hit one home run and he's out for the year.
Yeah. Bregman's hurt. Altuve's been a ghost. So I could see them trying to make a trade for an offensive piece as well, with Springer becoming a free agent this year.
Yep.
But at the same time, who's going to want to trade with them? Is anybody going to want to trade with them?
Yeah.
Because I could totally see them getting blackballed for a couple of years unless they're going to give up major high-end prospects.
Well, I mean, like, why? I just feel like what the Astros did, they just damaged a lot. Like, they just tarnished their whole reputation. Like, I think they ruined a lot of relationships with front offices, and I don't think managers are going to be jumping the gun to help out the Astros anytime soon. So, I agree with what you're saying there, but we talked about the buyers. There's a lot of teams that are looking to build on for next year. Teams that maybe had thoughts of being a playoff team this year, and unfortunately, whether it's injuries, whether it's just got off to a bad start, like the Angels. Angels got a good lineup, but they dealt with injuries, and they just didn't play to their potential. And now they're gonna be forced to be selling. The Nats. They dealt with injuries at the start of the year. Now they're out of it, so they're going to be sellers. What a team for you is going to be a big seller at the deadline?
There might be a little bias, but I think it's going to be the Angels because they have the most free agents. If you look at their free agent list, it's huge. And it's a lot of valuable players. Andrelton Simmons is one of the best defensive shortstops in the league. And then Tom LaStella has been playing some first base, so you can move him at second or first. He's on base guy. He's shown pop. Brian Goodwin was always a fourth outfielder, and last year he got starting reps and he hit 20-plus homers. Yep. So, and then there's Jason Castro, who's one of the elite pitch framers in the game. So,
Dylan Bundy too.
Yeah, Dylan Bundy still has a year of control, and they might sell high because he's.
I would. Yeah, definitely.
And another team that I could see trading a lot might be the Brewers because they're going to try to kickstart that, what they had a couple of years ago. Obviously, Lorenzo Cain's out right now, so that's a big blow to their season. But
for me, it's the Red Sox. They're a team that it's going to be interesting. They got Kevin Pillar, Jackie Bradley Jr., JD Martinez, like you mentioned. Could trade a guy like Mitch Moreland. They've already dealt 2 relievers to the Philadelphia Phillies this past week. So they're going to be definitely a team to watch in terms of a kind of a fire sale per se, but it'll definitely be interesting to see.
Yeah, and they went from worst to first a couple of years ago, so don't be surprised if they sell off some pieces, but then, replenish during the offseason with, getting under the luxury tax this year. I think that was a big thing, and there's new management there. So Chaim Bloom from the Rays, I believe, is their new GM.
Yep.
So he knows how to find those underrated guys, and it's going to happen for them. They're going to be good quickly. I don't think this is going to be a full tear down rebuild. I think it's just with Chris Sale out, it just didn't make sense to go for it this year.
Yeah. A team will talk about the Slam Diego Padres. You like that name?
Yeah.
Seems like every single game you turn on the TV and this team's hitting a grand slam. It's absolutely absurd what they're doing. They have 163 runs scored, second to the Dodgers. And this Fernando Tatis, he's must-watch TV at this point. Like you turn on the TV to see this guy's at bats, and what San Diego's doing, they're definitely ahead of schedule in terms of they had kind of a little rebuild the last few years. Obviously they brought in Hosmer and Machado, and they got these young kids coming up, and they got some pitchers coming up. Mackenzie Gore's coming up soon, probably within the next year. But this team is fun to watch, man.
Yeah, we've talked about Fernando Tatis a couple of weeks in a row now, and it's just this year he's the guy to watch. Last year it was Juan Soto. The year before that, you could say Acuna. Every year there's that guy that he turns on the switch, and when you turn on the TV, it's must-see baseball. So this year it's Tatis. Hopefully that, with Soto, we've seen it's kind of like worn off. Like people don't really pay attention to him as much as they were before. Maybe that's because they won a World Series, and they defied their odds. But hopefully Tatis just continues on this pace, and hopefully he could be healthy. And jumping into NL buyers, they're a team that needs pitching. So they lost Kirby Yates, or he's hurt right now. I'm not sure he's done for the season, and they can add in that rotation. It's young, but if they want to go for it with how they're playing ball right now, might as well add a number 2, number 3 type pitcher.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I almost overpassed the NL buyers. Good save there, Dylan. But NL East, Miami, a team that nobody expected to be in a playoff position with a month to go into the season, but they're a team that needs a lot.
Yeah, it's a surprise that they're where they're at right now. We could say it's luck. I don't know. With everything that happened, like they didn't play baseball for almost 2 weeks, a week and a half, and then they just come back, and I think they're 12-11 or something like that. They're just around that 500 mark. But I mean, teams in that division have also got off to a pretty bad start. Like the Mets and the Nationals got off to a bad start. So that's why I think the Miami Marlins are in a playoff position right now. What do you think? Well, Miami's in the same position as the Baltimore Orioles, and we didn't have them as buyers. But I'd say that Baltimore actually has a better chance of making the playoffs. But we have to give credit where credit's due. They're winning games. So maybe look for them to try to find a star, and then kind of do like a White Sox type of thing. White Sox have always had Jose Abreu, who's very underrated. They've added pieces throughout the years, and now it's all coming together. So I could see Miami trying to make a trade and trying to get a bigger name, coming off that Stanton, Yelich, Ozuna, Real Muto years where they didn't win anything.
It just like pains me. If I was a Miami Marlins fan, and when you look at what you had to what you have now, and you didn't do anything with that core, man, like what an opportunity wasted. Like that's 4, I wouldn't say superstars, but really good caliber all-star players, and they failed to do anything with that. That must suck.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to put it other than it sucks real bad. And JT Realmuto is probably the top catcher in the game. He's going to be a free agent this year, and then Christian Yelich, is an MVP candidate. So they had those 2 guys on their team. Obviously, Christian Yelich wasn't Christian Yelich until he went to Milwaukee, though. So can't really,
Stanton was hitting 60 bombs though, but he's been hurt in New York. But I mean, they had Marcell Ozuna too, who can hit the long ball. The last team we'll talk about is the Atlanta Braves. They've been hit with the injury bug too. Acuna just got reinstated off the injured list, so that'll be a big boost for them. Obviously, Freddie Freeman kind of picking it up after what he dealt with COVID at the start of the year. But yeah, they need some pitching too.
Yeah, and I want to add in the Phillies in that buyer list too, so maybe we can get to them.
For sure.
But yeah, Atlanta, they need starting pitching, plain and simple. They're very well-rounded as long as they're healthy. Christian Pache that we brought up came up and
That's right.
done decently so far. Very small sample size, but decently. But they need starting pitching. Obviously, Cole Hamels hasn't thrown a ball all year. Soroka's out for the year. Fultes hasn't done anything. They just sent Tucson, I believe, just got sent down today. So Max Fried has been great for them thus far. And I can totally – Mike Minor going back to the Braves is a great story for me. I think that's the perfect fit right there.
Okay, yeah, and we'll touch on the Philadelphia Phillies. They made that trade. They acquired Workman and Heath Hembree from the Boston Red Sox to kind of shore up that bullpen as they're on the heels of blowing a 7-0 lead to the Toronto Blue Jays. And right after that, they went out and got some bullpen help. And their bullpen has just let them down time and time again. And when you look at like some bullpen pieces, there's not much. Maybe Betances maybe goes to Philadelphia. Sean Doolittle's another option there. Where do you think Philadelphia goes at the deadline?
Well, yeah, it starts with Sir Anthony Dominguez being out. I mean, that was their guy that stepped up after Hector Neris didn't do well last year and continues not to do great this year. But, yeah, like I said, Doolittle's out there. I think relievers are expendable at this point. I think we could see tons of relievers, getting traded, even maybe Daniel Hudson, because I don't know that the Nationals are really going for it this year, to be honest with you. With Strasburg out and Scherzer's battled a little bit of injury. Anibal Sanchez hasn't been great. So I see guys like that. Obviously, they need starting pitching too because Jake Arrieta is not Jake Arrieta anymore. And Vince Velasquez has been not good at all. So they need a couple of things to fill up that roster, but obviously make some adjustments at the deadline and then go for a push in September. They're geared up for a playoff run if they could just get her going. Yeah,
hopping over to the NL Central, the Chicago Cubs, the bullpen. Craig Kimbrell started to turn it around a little bit. He's had 3-4 scoreless outings straight, but he's definitely not the Craig Kimbrell that we've seen over the last decade.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because if they had Craig Kimbrell, it would be, they're already in a great spot, but it would be game-changing for them, especially going into October. But since Chris Bryant went down, the Cubs aren't playing well. So they need to add, I would say, an outfielder because I believe Schwarber has been DHing primarily for them.
He has been, yep.
Yeah, I could be wrong about that. If you're double checking. I mean, if you're saying that's right, then maybe we both are on the same track. But I could see them getting some outfield depth. Hayward has been decent. Almora, Kipnis just got there to play, off the bench and some second base, but it's a team that definitely has its holes, but it still has its core of, Contreras, Schwarber, Rizzo, and Bryant with Javi Baez. So that core of players right there can lead them to another October run. Now they just need to – last year when they made that trade for Nick Castellanos, it was a great boost. Maybe J.D. Martinez to the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, J.D. Martinez went from the AL to the NL a few years ago when he took off with the Diamondbacks and went on that huge stretch. So we could see another situation like that. One more team in the NL Central, the St. Louis Cardinals. And this team is on the bubble to make the playoffs, kind of on the bubble for that wild card spot. I don't know. They could use an outfielder.
Yeah. Bader, Dexter Fowler.
He hasn't been very good. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of their outfielders off the top of my head, but
their outfield's not very good. No.
Yeah. I haven't watched too much St. Louis Cardinals this year. Granted, they were down for a while because of the COVID situation.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be lying to you if I said that I've watched tons of St. Louis Cardinals this year, but they did win the division last year, and nobody expected them to win the division last year. So it's not impossible, especially with the Cubs starting to come, back down to earth right now. We'll see what happens. They have a lot of doubleheaders. We talked about this.
That's
I think
right.
it was seven doubleheaders games. If they can go Dakota Hudson and Jack Flaherty in those doubleheader games, you have a good chance of winning 2 games in a day. So that's what I look for with the Cardinals is starting pitching and maybe some depth because they're going to get tired quickly.
What's your thoughts on a possible Lance Lynn return to the St. Louis Cardinals?
That would be a great fit. Lance Lynn is pitching the best I've ever seen him. So
yeah,
that would be an awesome fit.
Okay, shifting over to the NL West, and this might be the division we talk about the least because the Dodgers are in that division, and they could do something, but you were saying that they're better off just doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they're solid, man. I mean, there's nothing that you can really do better on this team. I think they're geared up to win a World Series right now. Like, they're the best team in the league. It's plain and simple. The Dodgers are the best team in the league. They have the best pitching. They have the best offense. That they should win a World Series. It's plain and simple.
What's the saying? If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe a reliever. Kenley Jansen's been unreal.
All of a
sudden he's back to prime form.
Yeah.
Trinan's been decent. He had one bad outing or maybe 2 bad outings, but other than that,
I haven't seen. How has Jake McGee done this year? I haven't kept up on him, but has he done good since he's gone there?
When they were playing the Angels, I watched the game, and I think it said he pitched 9 innings and he hadn't given up a run at that point.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay,
yeah.
So that was you predicted that when he got released, though. So that was a pretty good signing for the Dodgers. I bet you the Rockies are kicking themselves in the behind a little bit for letting a guy like that go to a division rival. But we'll hop into the Rockies. The Rockies they're off to a really hot start. They started off the season with 7 wins in their first 10 games. And they've fallen off a little bit now, but you could say they need some outfield. But when I look at their outfield, David Dahl has been playing. I'm not sure if he's hurt or not. They got Blackman in the outfield. Obviously, Ian Desmond opting out was a little bit of a loss for them in the outfield. But what do you think they could add at the deadline?
Oh man, Colorado. Honestly, man, they're far away from where they need to be.
Yeah.
And they got off to a hot start, and I see them falling out of it, to be honest with you. I understand they're buyers now, but I think they're better off selling and maybe getting rid of Daniel Murphy, who's had a good start, and maybe even trying to move Blackman. I don't know if this is the deadline to move Blackman, but at some point you're going to have to let go of either – they don't want to let go of Arenado. It's one of the top 5 third basemen in the league. But
I was just going to ask you that. Do you think like if they don't see themselves as contenders within the next 3-4 years, do you think it's smart to still build around a guy like Arenado when you can maybe sell him and get lots of pieces to kickstart your rebuild?
I don't think that you should trade Nolan Arenado until you get to his option year.
Okay.
If he has that option, that opt-out year, then it's time to trade him. If you're not good by then, don't trade him. I mean, trade him if you're not good by then. Sorry. Yeah. But until then, don't trade him because all it takes is that 1 year. You have a good off season. You bring in some pieces, some guys like Daniel Murphy play up to their abilities, and you're a good team again. So. We've seen this time and time again where teams just all of a sudden are good again. Colorado was not far off 2 years ago, so they made it to the wild card, and I believe they had over 90 wins in 2017. So, I mean, I don't think you should trade Nolan Arenado. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. The last team we'll get to is the San Diego Padres, an offense that has been absolutely red hot with amongst guys like Tatis, like we talked about. Trent Grisham's been a quite a surprise to start this season. Manny Machado, Hosmer, they got a good offense, but in order for them to make a deep playoff run, they got to improve their starting pitching.
Yeah, and Trevor Bauer would be the best fit for them because they did a sign and trade type of deal, like I believe we talked about earlier with the Sonny Gray thing, that would be huge for the Padres, and I assume that the Padres are going to go after a guy like that this offseason anyway.
Yeah, so might as well get him early and get him extended, right? I mean, that would be an awesome fit. We're gonna end this episode talking about Albert Pujols. He's a guy that just passed A-Rod. Second all time on the RBI leaderboard. 2,087 RBIs. Pardon me. You're an Angels fan. Like, what has Albert Pujols meant to the Angels team and the organization over the last decade?
Obviously, the Angels have only made the playoffs one time in Albert's tenure.
Yeah.
But it's been a treat to watch. All the milestones, 600 homers, 500 homers. Obviously now moving in the second all-time, 3,000th hit. It's special because you're seeing greatness. And what's unfortunate is you see these Angels fans, maybe they're just trolls, but on Twitter, but they knock the guy. And being realistic, he's 40 years old and he's had double foot surgery twice. And it's like, what do you expect? At this point, what do you expect? But you know what? The guy's still producing and he drives and runs. Last year, I believe he had 80-plus RBIs. He was 39 years.
39,
yeah. And it's just people always bag on this guy, and it's unfortunate. But this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and people
100%.
need to start cherishing his greatness because he's going to be gone very soon.
Yeah, I believe he's got 1 year left with the Angels, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think you think he'll play out that end of next year?
I think he will because there's still an opportunity to hit that 700th homer. And
Yeah.
I think that's important to him.
That was my next question. Do you think he surpasses that 700 home run mark?
I believe he's at 669 right now. That's off the top of my head. He's one away from Willie Mays, so I don't think he'll do it in an Angels uniform. Maybe he plays one more season with somebody else, and just to get that 700th homer, maybe like a Miami or Baltimore or somebody that's out of it, and he kind of trying to give him the opportunity to do so. I don't see it in an Angels uniform. I wish that he was able to play this whole season, and then if they were able to play the whole season, I would say yes, because I think he would have hit 20 homers this year, potentially, and 20 homers next year. So. Unfortunately, no, I don't think he'll surpass 700, at least in Angels uniform.
Okay, we're gonna start a new segment. It's gonna be called 3 Questions, and that's the title I have right now. Maybe we'll come up with a creative name later on down the road.
Maybe 3 strikes and you're out.
3 strikes, you're out. Yeah. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask Dylan 3 questions. The next episode, he's gonna ask me 3 questions. Dylan, the first question I have for you is looking ahead of the deadline. What is a bold prediction that you have for the deadline this year?
Bold prediction. JD Martinez to the Dodgers.
Oh, are you serious? Oh man.
I mean,
so really,
DH is kind of a revolving door on that team. AJ Pollock's done a great job, and playing DH there. But Red Sox and Dodgers have a relationship already, so that's a bold prediction. JD Martinez to the Dodgers.
Hey, maybe the Dodgers or maybe the Red Sox will get Graterol this time around. The next question I have for you: what has been the biggest surprise for you so far this season? Maybe it's a player or maybe it's a team. What do you think?
One big surprise is the Angels suck. I mean, that's they just they're a lot better than what their record says, but it's just you want to
pull your hair out? Going with?
No. That's just the first thing that popped into my head. But the slow start from Cody Bellinger, I'm gonna stay with the Dodgers, is really shocking. But I know that he was messing around with his hands. Another surprising thing that's happened this year, Lance Lynn. We talked about him a lot this pod.
Yes, that's right.
He's been tremendous. Hats off to the guy.
Third question I have for you. A team that you thought would be bad this year that is off to a good start.
Bad this year. That I thought was going to be bad this year.
That is good this year, yeah.
I guess the Toronto Blue Jays. I didn't expect them to take this step, but their schedule is pretty easy. So
yeah, the next 13 are against Boston, Baltimore, and Miami. So
and then Boston again.
Boston again. So definitely a big stretch to propel them into the playoffs. Maybe.
I don't know what to make of that. Obviously, the core is there. The pieces around Teoscar and Grichuk have played over their heads to this point, and that's probably going to come to an end soon. So they need to find some.
Hey, whoa! Grichuk is finding his form, buddy. Nah, JK. No, definitely. Yeah. With the addition of Vogelback, though, I don't know what he's going to do, dude. Like,
well, it's a Spider-Man meme. They're just pointing at each other.
Yeah, like this. Yeah.
Telez and Vogelbach are just the same player.
A guy that can both hit 30 home runs. I mean, he hit 30 home runs last year. So, I mean, maybe he catch lightning in a bottle. But we're going to end this episode just by mentioning again, we launched our website, chasing2.com. We're going to write articles on there. And we're looking for writers. If you go on the website, you can click the little tab, join our team. Fill out your email and your name, a little bit about yourself, and shoot an email to us, and we'll get you on board. We post our articles to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and if you're looking to get experience, obviously we are not at the point where we can pay our writers. Obviously, we just launched our website, but yeah, if you're looking to gain experience, this is a perfect opportunity to do it.
Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.